Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Eat, Geek, Sleep, Repeat. I am your host, Rich, and I'm here with my co hosts, Justin and Taylor. Say hello, kids.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, oi.
Welcome to the show.
Kind of a heavy mood today there on the internet, isn't it? The past couple of days. Um,
You could say that.
lot of a lot of people not happy with what's going on up in home box office television. Um, so we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about some other stuff, but probably mostly we're gonna talk about our feelings about Sunday night. Um, I know between the three of us, we have three different opinions about the same thing, so it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, that's true. I think we all
Uh,
represent different parts of the internet.
Actually, I mean, yeah.
um, so for those of you that don't know, we are a pop culture podcast slash enthusiast podcast. We are featured on the Twin Stick Radio podcast. Hello, did y'all? I lost y'all for like a second. Okay, y'all are good. Okay, we are featured on the Twin Stick Radio podcast feed, and we are here live on Twitch every Tuesday at 10 p.m. Central. Justin is also one of the co-hosts of Twin Stick Radio, which is a video game podcast.
Woo! Nerds!
Yay! So, with all that being said, let's just dive right into the meat of the podcast, which is going to be Game of Thrones Season 8, Episode 5, The Bells. Um, Taylor, you were very vocal in our group chat Sunday, so why don't you start, buddy?
So this episode happened, and I will start it off by saying, Justin, you were right about Daenerys.
Thank you. Thank you.
I hate saying it. I don't like it. Doesn't feel good. Leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But you were right. Uh, all of the signs were there. But also all the signs that she could have gone the other way were also there. So I don't feel like my view on what could have happened was so far off.
I will 100% agree with you. I am right.
Oh my gosh.
But I did not want to be right this way. So,
Yeah. Um, my main problem with this episode, however, is not that Daenerys finally broke and went became the Mad Queen. Like that's not my problem with this episode.
what's your problem, Taylor? Tell the internet what your problem is.
Oh my gosh. So the biggest thing, the biggest disappointment out of this whole episode would probably have to be Jamie's character arc. Like just they took it, they balled it up, and they threw it out the window. They put a bow on it to try and make it look nice, but no, the audience wasn't buying it.
So here's my problem with most of the episode. I think it can all be summed up into this. I think that the way things happen in this episode, more than likely, is how it's going to happen even in the books. I think that this is what George R.R. Martin has planned for how it's going to end. But there will be more nuance. There will be more story in between that makes it all seem more like poetic justice. Because right now you're just skipping to the end, and everything that happened. Like if you just watched this episode and you didn't really watch much before this, it would all seem fine. Like it all kind of does make sense whenever you take everything that happened as its own individual moment. But when you have an amazing story arc, let's take Jamie for instance, because he's an amazing character. When you have an amazing story arc like Jamie, he makes all of this progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 episodes ago, he's making a ton of progress, almost like it's concluding his arc. And then if you wanted to put it on its head by having him go back to Cersei, there has to be some transition there. Otherwise, it's just completely jarring, like out of left field, makes no sense whatsoever. and it makes the audience feel stupid for having ever cared about Jamie or any of these characters that they just kind of peh,
Mhm.
peh.
If they had ended his arc in Winterfell and had him not do anything with Cersei at all, I would have been okay. Yeah, I get it. Like he's moved on from her. He's done. He's with Brienne now. He's happy. He's finally turned that leaf over all the way. I would have been okay with if he had just stayed in Winterfell.
So here's my thing with Jamie, and just bear with me, guys, because I know y'all are gonna have very, very mixed opinions about this, as did everybody at the office I work at. So Jamie, his whole story arc, him making progress or whatever, he did everything he did once he was captured by Robb to get back to Cersei. He did everything he did after he left King's Landing again to, well, the first time he left, it was to get his daughter back when she died and blah blah blah. But then he left again because it was the right thing to do to fight on the side of the living. Right.
That's the
Now,
turning point, though. Right there, that was the turning point where he finally broke his connection to Cersei. And the
but he
him
never
and him
broke the connection. He never broke the connection to Cersei. He did that because he wanted to help Tyrion, because he believed that Tyrion had a good point. Right. Now, everything with Brienne, him knighting her, fine, I can deal with that. Him sleeping with her, I think the only reason he did it wasn't because he loved her, it was because he didn't want her to lose her virginity to a wildling like Tormund.
Tormund would have been better for her than Jamie at that point, honestly.
But he's still a wildling who pillaged and raped and murdered innocent people, and that's what Jamie sees him as.
You have a very, very low opinion of Jamie. Don't get me wrong, he's done some pretty bad stuff, but his whole arc his whole arc has been leading up to him becoming a better person. And yes, that scene with him, Cersei, and the mountain, when she threatened to have him killed, that was the breaking point between the connection between him and Cersei. If that we hadn't had this scene and he had stayed in Winterfell, that's why I would have been happy, because of that scene right there when they were talking and she threatened to have him killed and then he just walked off in the finale of season 7. Like, that's why I would have been happy, because he was like, hey, I'm my own person.
He was, yes, but he was hoping that she would have the mountain slay him, so that way he could have been right about her. But she didn't. So that left a little doubt in the back of his mind, like, okay, she still loves me. She's still here. She's still doing this for me. So that's what drew him back to her. It's always been about Cersei for him. You can't help who you love. He never loved Brienne. He was just protecting her from Tormund. That's all he was doing.
You're saying that whole thing was just jealousy. The whole time he was there was just, You are wrong, sir.
I don't think I'm wrong.
I have more faith in him.
He proved me right by going back to Cersei and doing what he did.
That was bad writing, okay? Their bad writing does not justify your bad opinion. Their bad writing does not justify your bad opinion.
Or was it really, really good writing?
No, it was good writing.
It was bad.
It's so it's frustrating. And I think the reason why the internet is up in flames about this is because I'm not going to say we deserve better, because that sounds entitled, but I think it could be better, and I think that's what's frustrating. It's one of those things where it's like, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed. I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in this show. I'm disappointed in the show runners, the writers, D&D, for the decisions that they have made. HBO has come out and they have come out and admitted that HBO said that they were more than willing to fully back them financially on full-length seasons, and they made the decision.
We could have used another two. Yeah, we could use it in the 4 episodes, but the actors were burnt out. I mean, who wouldn't be? I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses for him, but I mean, from what I've read online, the actors were burnt out after season 7.
I
I mean,
highly doubt that. I think maybe the actors were burnt out after season 7 because, I mean, if we're being honest, the writing in season 7 wasn't amazing either. I mean,
yeah, and that has a lot to do with the deal that George R. R. Martin made about not to release the last 2 books until after season 8 was finished, and he gave them, from what I've read, he gave them the ending, but he didn't give them how to get there.
right, and I think that's the problem. I think that D&D are able to they are great at bringing a book to TV. They did a great job at kind of a bringing that to life. But once they had like free reigns with it, they just didn't know what to do. I mean, they knew where they
Yeah,
wanted to end, but
yeah,
it's like Taylor said, like bad writing does not justify just a bad ending.
that's true. I don't. I don't have a problem with Jamie's ending the way everybody else does. He proved to me that he was who I always thought he was. He was just you can't help who you love, and he was going to end up going back to her either way.
I don't know, man. I am all for Game of Thrones kind of putting their spin on stories, like not having the cookie cutter, Disney ending as everyone's saying that.
Yeah,
All the people that are up in arms, like, oh, what were you expecting? A Disney ending? No, I wasn't expecting a Disney ending. I was expecting an ending that is one makes sense, but two is justifiable within the world. If
and
you
that's the thing though.
if you
We haven't
make
seen
this
the ending.
character, but we have though, Rich, we have seen the ending because we have one episode left. What are they going to do in one episode that's going to justify
They can
everything
do a
that they've done?
lot. They can do a lot in 2 hours to justify anything. I'm not putting that much faith in them, but they can do a lot.
They took this episode. I actually I want to go back in time. How much episode was actually just following people through the city, watching them get burned? I want to say it was probably most of the episode. And like don't get me wrong, the cinematography was great. The acting was great. But I don't need to follow somebody through the city in 5 different viewpoints for an hour. I get it. I get it. Lots of people were dying. Lots of people were being burned. I get it. Cut that shit down. Cut it down. Give me story. I don't need to walk through a city for an hour.
Right, walking through a city whenever you know that there's Cersei, who, for all intents and purposes, why would Dany not immediately go to Cersei? You know, why is she
Because she
bothering
wanted her to
killing?
see it.
But she knows that she doesn't. She knows that Cersei doesn't care about these people.
That's
She's
the thing,
not.
though.
She's literally not hurting anyone.
She broke.
Danny
She
called Cersei's bluff. That's the thing. Danny knew Cersei put all those people where she put them because she knew that Danny wouldn't do anything to hurt them. So Danny called Cersei on her fucking bluff.
Right, right,
And she said, fuck you, fuck your citizens, I'm burning everything.
see, and here's the thing, and some people are talking about it in chat as well. The showrunners basically they have more or less come out and admitted that they could see what everyone was saying online as far as like fan theories, what they think is going to happen, whatnot, and they basically just change things for the sake of changing them. And we kind of talked about that before. If
Yeah.
I have a great story and then I introduced a twist at the end just because it's like, like you didn't see that one coming, that doesn't mean it was a good twist. That doesn't mean that it was justifiable or anything like that. It was just you were doing something for the sake of doing something, and you end up ruining you end up ruining what could be a great story. Not everyone has to full circle back to like, they were never good all along. I have no problem with Daenerys having that story arc. It's what I expected from the beginning. But not every
Yeah,
character
because they
has
built to it.
Yeah, exactly. But not every character has to have that. Jamie did not have to do the whole 360 of he was just bad all along. He really just loved his sister.
Mm.
also she a recurring theme this season also really bad military decisions. She broke the Iron Fleet. She broke the Scorpions that were guarding the harbor. So, and her army outnumbered the Golden Company. Why not? Why fly up there? Why not fly directly to the Red Keep, which has no Scorpions on it? The path to the Red Keep, no Scorpions. Why not
That
just
that
destroy the Red Keep to begin with?
Because
like,
Yeah,
like
no,
that would be
then,
that would be a very short episode.
like
yeah, and that's yeah.
you have a
Anticlimactic.
you have a somehow superpower dragon now that can dodge all of these scorpions.
Right, scorpions that one of them took out a dragon.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Also, how like Drogon pretty much on steroids in this episode, right? I mean, he had like we're talking bomb quality fire, destroying like 5 foot thick stone walls with his dragon fire. It's insane.
yeah, that's not exactly how fire works, but you know, sure it works. And they totally destroy the Golden Company, this amazing thing that was built up for I don't even know how long. Good thing they didn't have elephants. You know, now actually now I know
Well,
why
that's
they don't have
why.
elephants. Because
That's why,
that
though.
would have been a waste of
That's why they didn't have elephants because, I mean, that's why they lost so easily because they didn't bring the elephants. Drogon's probably afraid of elephants. They probably would
of
have won.
course. It's like
Okay.
it's like the elephant and the mouse, except it's a dragon and an elephant
Mm-hmm.
sort of
Mhm.
situation.
Exactly.
So one thing I wanted to bring up then also was Cersei's death. So this character that
Spoilers.
has
No.
if they've made it this far into the episode, it's fine. This so at the end, Cersei dies in the catacombs with the dragon skulls, and Jaime, their way is blocked, and she's crying. She's I don't want to die, and then he embraces her, and it's very Romeo and Juliet esque.
Oh yes, very much.
And I there was I forgot who was telling me this. It might be you, Rich. That was like she sort of died as nobody. There's no fanfare. There's no big showing about it. And her whole thing was preserving. She's the one that listened to her father. Preserve the Lannister house, family. It's all about family. And the house, the Reigns of Castamere plays after the rocks fall and they disappear. But also Tyrion is still alive. He's still a Lannister. So the house isn't gone, and it didn't. That's why I can't really buy the whole thing of like, oh, she died as a nobody. House Lannister is gone. It feels wrong because it's not gone, and I get it. I don't need some like brutal death for Cersei, but I need like a satisfying one at least.
See,
Part of it
here's-
was part of it was like no fanfare or anything like that. That's fine. I don't need much, just a little bit. And then also Jaime dying with her and not being the one to kill her to sort of fulfill the prophecy that her younger brother was going to kill her. I guess sort of he led her down to the catacombs. So that's how they're technically justifying, her younger brother killed her. But that feels
Tyrion killed her
really
by
cheap.
bringing Daenerys.
Yeah, that it feels cheap.
I mean,
well, it's like after the episode how I texted you guys like a scene that like literally within 2 minutes after the episode ended, I already came up with a what I would think would be a more satisfying ending. The whole like imagine they're downstairs, Cersei, which by the way, Cersei or the actress who plays Cersei, she did an amazing job in that scene.
Lena Headey.
Yep. The amount of emotion whenever she's sitting there saying like I don't want to die, like please, like save me, like please Jaime, like that was incredible. So imagine that, but you hear this enemy soldiers start running down the stairs. They're pillaging the Red Keep. Jamie pulls her in. He says the line of, it's okay, it's okay. It's just us now. Like nothing else matters. As he's pulling her in for that
Yeah.
final embrace, just pull out like a little dagger or something, and then just end her life real quick. The prophecy is fulfilled. It's way more dramatic and probably satisfying. You get almost a different spin on Jamie's story arc, because now not only did he, kind of die with his lover in his arms, the soldiers would come in and start, killing Jamie basically. You would get the perfect closing to Jamie's story because he had to be the one to do it. And it was I don't know, it was better than her getting killed by anyone else, but still it would be heart-wrenching.
It would make sense.
Here's why I don't have a problem with Cersei's death. And I kind of came to this conclusion in my second viewing of the episode. With Cersei, everything about her was her power. And she died powerless. Everything about her was she can control it. She was a control freak. Everything about her was control, and she could not control the way she was dying. She was helpless. She was powerless. She had zero control, which is why it was satisfying in a way for me, because she died in a way that she didn't want to die. And that's really all we could want for Cersei, right? I mean, yeah, everybody's a little bit upset because the showrunners kind of made you have a little bit of empathy for her because she was crying and you're like, oh shit, pregnant lady's about to die. This sucks. And they humanized her just a little bit in that last scene, when we spent the last 10 years not wanting to even believe that Cersei had a tiny bit of humanity inside of her because she was evil. So, I mean, I don't have a problem with the way she died. That's even if she's actually dead. I guess we'll find out next week.
Excuse me? You honestly think she's not dead?
We never got we never got confirmation.
They didn't make us feel bad for Joffrey. They didn't make us feel bad for Ramsay. They didn't make us feel bad for Littlefinger. So why Cersei? Why the biggest bad? Why her? Why try and make us feel bad for her?
Was she ever the biggest bad, though?
It's to make Daenerys look worse.
Because, shock and awe. Look at this terrible person.
Well, hold on.
Burning down the
Was Cersei ever the biggest bad, though?
After they killed the Night King and set Cersei up to be the big bad of the final season, yeah.
I mean, think about everything she's done. She's done it for a reason, right? Why did she kill Robert? Because he was a womanizer and he wasn't treating her the way a queen should have been treated.
That's not the only reason.
But also,
she wanted power.
You can't look at it like that, because no one in this show does anything for no reason. I mean, everyone has their own personal reasons. That doesn't make them not the big bad. Like, that's kind of the thing about having a show with multiple protagonists, is that you can even side with the big bad. Like, I knew people who, for the duration of the show, even whenever people didn't like Cersei, I knew people that were totally on Cersei's side, which is the great thing about good writing. Good writing is whenever you can be on either side of the fence, and you can,
except for Ramsay,
you can pick your side. Ramsay, yeah, sure. Ramsay's. If you were a fan of Ramsay, you might have issues. I'll give you a number to a therapist. But good writing is whenever there's not a clear this is who's good and this is who's bad. But that is what happened in this last episode, is just Daenerys is bad. They made it a point, like Taylor said, to spend an hour showing her just killing women, children, innocent people who had no say in this war. They just happened to live in King's Landing. And, at one point she even points out that she even points out that, it is their fault for following Cersei. When in actuality, it's not their fault. They got to survive somewhere. They just happen to live in that city.
One thing about Cersei also for this season, I can see your point about humanizing her a little bit, but again, this is another thing that I felt was kind of out of nowhere. Maybe it was like the 2-year gap. It just kind of disconnected me from the whole thing, this show as a whole. But it felt rushed because they underutilized Lena Headey this whole season. You could probably count. I'm positive you could probably count on one hand the amount of scenes that she actually had that were of really any importance in this season. And for the most of it, she's just standing. She's just standing. Someone comes up to her, talks a little bit, and then it goes on.
Sipping on some wine, you know.
Yeah, they underutilized her tremendously this season, and if they had shown a little bit more of what she was doing in King's Landing and shown her a little bit more of the process of her sort of coming to terms with, like, you know, oh, like, all right, you know, they won the battle, you know, they're coming this way, like, oh no, like it is a possibility that, you know, I could die. Like, they show her willing to sacrifice all the people in King's Landing to all of a sudden, oh no, I don't want to die. Feel bad for me. Oh no.
Right. I think I think that's something that happened a lot in this season. There was a ton of like, okay, here's a little bit of story. Audience, you guys just imagine the rest. Imagine what Cersei's doing while we're away, because then in your brain you can justify everything that's happened as long as you figure out yourself how to get there. There were so many scenes. One that comes to mind is whenever Jon is telling his family about him being a Targaryen. What, you're telling me we don't get to watch that? We get to just, you know, hey guys, I have something to tell you, and then boom, cut to the next scene. Like, that is just, it's cheap. You set everything up, and then you don't,
no payoff.
There's no payoff. It's all up here. So that's that.
Okay. Let's go to Clegane Bowl.
The more I thought about it, the more I kind of liked it. I'm not gonna say I loved it, but I did like it. It was
Poetic. Hound dying in the fire.
I guess. I mean, like I said, I felt like it was a little shoehorned in there as far as like them falling out of a building, and yes, there is fire underneath them. But I always pictured there being fire in the battle. I pictured it being a little bit more prevalent.
Man, that shot where Drogon flies overhead and just the stream of dragon fire and the mountain standing there. That shot was awesome. That was a really cool shot.
Right, they picked a perfect location to do this. You know, on this staircase leading to nowhere, basically surrounded by hell on earth. You know, for all intents and purposes, it was beautifully shot. The scene right before that, Arya and the Hound's kind of final goodbye. That was definitely one of my favorite scenes. You know, two characters that I really love. Arya, of course, has grown on me. That's because the showrunners want Arya to grow on me. But Arya has grown on me, and the Hound has always been one of my favorites. So to see that final goodbye, it was really good. It was a really touching, sweet moment.
Where she actually uses his name instead of calling him Hound.
Yeah, I want to say she was one of the first people to actually call him by his first name. Some people call him by his last name. Most people call him Hound.
Yeah.
But yeah, she acknowledged him by his first name, and it was a really cool moment. That moment, the scenes with Arya running in the city was really good. We'll talk about that. And there was something else. Oh yes, Tyrion and Jaime's kind of goodbye scene too was great.
One thing I want to add, right before the Clegane Bowl happened, the only person whose death I'm actually satisfied with would have to be Qyburn. This creepy, sadistic.
He's a necromancer, man. What do you expect? He's a necromancer.
And then the mountain just grabs him and says, "Yeet."
That was probably the most unexpected. I did not expect him to get his skull just crushed on the wall and then just thrown down the stairs.
It didn't even look like he threw him that hard, and he just like, oh, I was like, oh, okay. Good job.
Okay, so
Good job, Mount.
I'm gonna say it because nobody else has said it though. If Arya would have just gone with the Hound, she could have killed Cersei and just walked away.
Oh, for
Oh my
sure.
gosh. Cersei.
There's no reason why Arya would have not gone.
Because she has to survive to kill Danny next episode. Duh.
Well, yes, of course. There is that reason.
Plot, plot armor.
Nobody is gonna touch my Khaleesi. God damn it!
But
Yeah.
the
Nobody
Arya
better
that
touch
we've
my Khaleesi.
the Arya that we've come to know would not have been like, yeah, this is kind of bad. I guess I should go. She straight up jumped over freaking whites and everybody else
Barrel roll.
to take out the Night King. Probably ran past a dragon on the way. You're telling me that she would get to the top of the Red Keep after making it through the city while it's on fire, and then be like, yeah, I don't think I want to be here anymore. Like, what? No, she's right there. You made it. You're there. Open, just go down the freaking stairs and just. No one was gonna stop her.
My favorite GIF of the week was the one that I sent y'all of Andy and Dwight facing off and Jim like walking in between them, and it's like Cersei walking past the Cleganes before they start fighting. My favorite GIF of the week.
Oh
So
my
funny.
gosh. Like Cersei was done. She was like, you know what? I don't even care. Y'all can do what y'all want. I'm gonna be over here. You know.
Yeah, she was not having it. She was like, all right, peace. I'm out. This is not my fight.
Yeah, it was very, very touching. I like how the Hound got his last conversation with Sansa, and he was able to sort of act like that fatherly figure that she hasn't had. And then that sort of had that same conversation with Arya in the map room. So both those conversations I thought were really good and a really fitting ending for the Hound. Not what I expected the battle to be. The actual battle itself could have been done a little differently, I think. But I do think his sort of character arc. I mean, we all knew where it was going to end up, like from the very beginning.
I think.
yeah.
I think his was probably the most satisfying story arc. They didn't try to subvert it in any way. They didn't try to, people know about the Clegane Bowl. Let's just have them, I don't know, fucking trip on the stairs, or like what if one of those guards just would have killed him? Like what if they were just like, like he makes it to the Hound and then just a guard just kind of gets him one good time.
Wait, hold on. Shock twist. The Mountain kills Cersei, and then him and the Hound go and live in Essos forever on a beach somewhere.
Yes.
Oh shit! They take their land back.
Shock and awe.
Right, but I kind of liked that they stayed true with what, in my mind, the Clegane Bowl would have been like. There is no reason why the Hound should be able to handle the Mountain just kind of one-on-one. Like the Mountain is he's huge. He's a freaking beast. Number one. Two, he's, I don't know, Frankenstein, half dead. He's something.
I think he's undead. I think, right?
He looked like Darth Vader.
He did look like Darth Vader. He looked like a mushy, squishy Darth Vader.
Yeah. He looked like Varys Vader. Okay.
Yeah, but it made perfect sense that pretty much everything that the Hound was doing just wasn't working.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Speaking of Varys, I mean, I wanted to touch on his execution real quick. Do you think he got any of those scrolls out?
Yes. He's Varys.
Yes, I think he did, and also because I don't think this is spoiling anything for next episode. I don't think. No, because this is just me assuming. So there was an interview with Sophie Turner, asking, now that the show is over, what did you take from set? And one of the things that she took from set was a scroll, but she said she couldn't say what was on it because it was a spoiler for the last season, or very important to the last season. So I'm thinking maybe it was one of those scrolls.
Also, did you catch that he was trying to poison Dany?
Yes. Yeah, whenever he told
not a lot of people caught that.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people caught that.
He told the little girl, "Okay, like let's try again at
We'll
dinner."
try again. Yeah. Yeah. Not a lot of people caught that.
Yeah.
They just thought he was concerned.
Trey's in chat. He caught it. Trey's smart.
Yeah. Hi, Trey.
Um, yeah, no. Varys's. I mean, since we're talking about Varys, his death, um, was it justifiable? Yes, I totally understand why he died. I don't like that they. I don't know. I felt like his death wasn't brutal enough. Like, it's Game of Thrones. We've seen.
He was already a eunuch, man. I mean, what else do you want for the poor guy?
I want to see this character that we have grown to love and understand his game that he plays. I want to see him die. You know, if he's gonna die, we should be able to see it, not just like, he's gone up in flames. Not a scream, not a cry, nothing.
How much more tragic can it get though than your own best friend sending you to the fucking executioner? I mean, it doesn't get more tragic than that.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not tragic. I'm just saying, like, if we saw Shireen getting burned, like that was horrific to watch, and then Varys just kind of is just poof gone.
I will point out the one part of that scene that I did like would have to be Drogon sort of coming out from the shadow, because they were standing there and I was like, is Grey Worm just gonna like slit his throat, beheading? I was like, where's the dragon? Why don't we see him? And then you just see his maw coming out of the shadow, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, and like, I kind of had a thought too with that. It is basically a parallel to what Ned taught Jon in the first episode. You know, Ned, first episode, he's having to execute that guy, and he tells Jon, a true leader does this himself. He will do it by his own hand.
The sentencer must be the executioner.
Exactly.
And
Daenerys, Daenerys never does that. She always has her dragons do her bidding. And I think that is just yet another thing that Jon is slowly realizing, like, oh, okay, she's not great.
One thing I want to point out that kind of makes sense is Grey Worm following his leader's actions when he kind of throws the spear up with his foot, catches it, and throws it at the Lannister guy who had already thrown down his sword.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As soon as Dany took off, I was like, Grey Worm is gonna do exactly what she's doing, and I get it. He lost the love of his life, but it hurt me. It really
Grey
did.
Worm was the ultimate angel of death in that scene, dude. He took out like 23 dudes in 30 seconds. It was insane.
I do have a prediction for next episode though, with Grey Worm. I do think that I'm terrified to make predictions now because I've been so wrong on everything that I have said. But you know what? I'm gonna keep going. If I'm 1 for 50, so be it.
Even a broken clock is right twice.
Arya is going to try and kill Daenerys. Grey Worm is gonna stop her, not kill her, stop her, and then Jon is gonna have to fight Grey Worm. And then after that's over, Jon's gonna be like, Arya, don't do it. And then Arya's just gonna do it. I thought we were gonna get a Jon and Grey Worm fight last episode when they look at each other as Grey Worm sees that he's like, I was like, no. I've already lost enough this episode. Don't do this to me.
If I had a weird prediction at work today when I was talking about this with my coworkers, because one of my coworkers was like, Daenerys is just gonna tell Drogon to kill Tyrion, like in the middle of the courtyard or something. And I said, well, what if she does that and then Jon yells at Drogon to stop and Drogon like obeys Jon?
Ooh, a fight for control of the dragon.
Yeah.
That would be cool. Would it make up for all of the crappy writing? No, but it'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, is it going to happen? Probably not.
No, probably not. No.
I, I just, I've lost a little bit of faith.
I would say I lost a lot of faith. I honestly just I love this show, but I don't have high expectations for this next episode. Like I felt like my Sunday, like I was literally laying in bed. I had a hard time sleeping on Sunday because I felt like there was something that I just didn't do. Like watching Game of Thrones and feeling that satisfaction is like a Sunday tradition, or at least it has been. Um, and yeah, like after this episode, it's just kind of like I'm not super excited for next week. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna, you know, we'll
There's
talk
one episode
about it.
left. Got to finish it out, I guess.
Yeah. One more thing before we give our ratings of the episode. So is Arya like the goddess of death now, since she kind of rode off on the white horse? And was that Bran? I know we already had this conversation in the group chat, but I want
No.
to have it on the show.
No, it is not Bran. I don't think that the showrunners have that much forethought on anything. I don't think that we will get any payoff of Bran's story arc, probably at all. Um, I don't think we're gonna see Braun. Braun is he's gone. He's definitely not getting High Garden. Yeah, with the horse, I don't think that has much of any meaning other than um I don't know, maybe just it was, I mean, it was a white horse. The way it was kind of basking in the light, it was basically like her, I don't know, her salvation, her getaway. The girl that she tried saving, the girl and her mom, she had a little toy horse.
Yeah.
So I think that might be just kind of a um not foreshadowing. I don't know what that would be. There's a connection there somehow.
I'm probably overthinking it, but I'm putting together like revelations, the four horsemen, one of them being on a white horse, the embodiment of death, blah blah blah. And
Yeah, some
how,
people on the internet are talking about that. I think that I don't think it would be accidental that they like kind of made it that way. But I don't think it'll play into anything. Prediction wise, I do think that Taylor, you're kind of onto something, especially because we've seen Arya using a spear that is very similar to the spear that Grey Worm is using. So I could see them kind of having a battle, and then
that is a fight that I would really like to see. I would like to see it from like a really cool battle standpoint. I would like to see it from a I really like Grey Worm and I really like Arya standpoint.
I mean, Grey Worm did what any person who just lost the love of his life would do.
Hey man,
Just fucked everybody up.
get you a follower like Grey Worm. He was like, "Oh, we're going. Okay, let's go." Like no questions asked. He was ready. Like I want Grey Worm on my team.
I didn't even know there was that many Dothraki left.
Yeah, nobody did.
Oh my god! I saw a meme. It was like Daenerys must have ordered more Dothraki on Amazon Prime. that free 2-day shipping.
Oh my god. Okay, so let's give our ratings of the episode 1 to 10, guys. Who wants to go first?
You go first, Rich.
Me? Okay. I'm giving it a 7. Cinematography, acting, score, everything was great. Like the rush storylines, the weird payoffs that weren't really payoffs. That's why I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. I don't know. I watched the episode twice, and the second time I was mostly just listening to the score because it was so good. The music is really good in that episode, especially that arrangement of the Reigns of Castamere that we get when Cersei and Jamie die. It was really good.
I liked it too that they played the I don't remember the name of the song, but it's the song that plays whenever she's blowing up the city with wildfire.
Oh, that's the Light of the Seven.
Yeah, because they play that. At one point, they play it whenever they're marching into the city, whenever Jon and them break through. But then also at the end, it's mixed together with the Reigns of Castamere, so it's kind of cool.
I think the Light of the Seven has kind of become Cersei's like theme.
it's fitting. It's very fitting.
When that started
Yeah.
playing, I did think I my theory was that she was. It felt like it was too easy for them to get into the city, so I thought what was going to happen was they were going to get into the city, and then boom, she was going to blow the rest of the wildfire, and then wipe out a lot of people. And I thought
But
that
Drogon,
song was leading towards that.
yeah, but Drogon just set off the rest of the wildfire.
Yeah,
Fuck
the
it.
little just little pockets of green flames every now and then, which was a nice little touch.
Yeah. So I give it a 7.
Justin, what about you?
Let's see. For me, as much problems as it had, I still think that it had really great moments. I don't like how we got there. I don't like how rushed it is. Like I said, I do think that most of what happened will be in the book. I do think that is a lot of the ending that will be in the book. I think I'd give it like a 6. Um, yeah, I don't even have like a funny scale that I can go off. It's just a 6. Um, like I said, I mean the Tyrion and Jaime scene, like that, their relationship throughout the show was great. That final scene with them, um, very reminiscent of the Jaime and the Tyrion talking about their cousin that would just smash beetles, and Jaime just wanted to know why, why do you want to smash this beetle all the time?
Tyrion wanted to know why.
Yeah, sorry, yeah, Tyrion. Tyrion wanted to know that, and like that scene was great, and in some ways it kind of ties into this. It's like they do it just because that's their nature, and maybe that's Jaime's story. Maybe that's why he goes back to Cersei, because it's just the way it was supposed to be. But I mean, that scene, like I said, I think Dany was always meant to be this way. I just don't like how we got there. So yeah, I mean, 6 out of 10.
Oh goodness.
Here we go.
Um man, I was so over this episode. I can understand I can understand Daenerys going mad. Doesn't does not mean that I have to like it, because I don't. I don't like it at all. I don't like it one bit. Um and the rest storylines, Jamie's arc being thrown out the window, Cersei's very unclimactic ending. Um Gosh, I want to say like maybe a 4, 4 or 5, 5 being probably okay, probably I'm gonna go with 5, because I really did enjoy the Jamie Tyrion scene. I've loved those every time we get them. Just the two brothers, being brothers, like looking out for each other, like, hey, I'm gonna help you out this time. All right, hey, I'm gonna help you out this time. Just the love that they had for each other, and the chemistry that those two actors had was great, because I mean they weren't on screen together very much in these later seasons, but it was still there. It still felt like, yeah, like these two people, they're brothers, like uh yeah. 5, the acting from everybody except maybe Euron was
I think he did a good job with what he had.
yeah, yeah. I'm not blaming the actor. It's the writing for him, but like the acting for everybody. Daenerys's acting of that scene where you can see it. The bells are waiting to ring, and she's waiting. The bells ring, and then you just the amount of emotion that Emilia Clarke put into that was phenomenal. It really was. Like the acting from everybody, great, but the writing was just so bad.
Well, you better get used to all that writing, because sticking with the writers of this episode, and moving on to our next topic, David Benioff and DB Weiss are slated to oversee the next Star Wars film due in 2022. It was really revealed today in a sales call this morning, and Disney chief Bob Iger confirmed it. So get used to that writing, boys. We're gonna get a lot more of it.
Boy, if they, oh my god, um, I think they just confirmed that it was another trilogy, right? They didn't confirm what the trilogy was going to be about, because I think
Correct.
the speculation is it's going to be a Knights of the Old Republic, which I would be very, very happy to see. But now that I've had a little taste of what these two people can do when they're not adapting a book, really worries me for what they're gonna do with another franchise that I really enjoy.
I think that they will. I think they will actually do pretty well on this. Like I know, like sure, we give them a hard time about everything that they've done with these last 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. If you look at each episode of Game of Thrones almost like a movie, it is a little bit better. There's not like a stretched out story over 10 years or 8, 9, 10 years.
Mhm.
It's its own self-contained thing, and I think that's a little bit easier for them to comprehend. I think they have a great job, or I think they have a great understanding of what makes a good hour and a half. They have a good
Yeah.
feel for kind of like story beats and pacing. Um, and like Trey said in the chat as well, it Star Wars is a little bit easier to write. I think, personal opinion, I agree with Trey. Star Wars is probably a little bit easier to write than this complicated, Game of Thrones, which is a lot of political drama. There's a lot of nuance to Game of Thrones that Star Wars doesn't have, which isn't bad. Doesn't have to have nuance. It's got the Force and lightsabers, and that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. It's a lot easier to write. It's a lot more kind of like lighthearted, not as serious. One thing I am kind of excited for is, and I don't think this has any like concrete like backing. I think it's just another kind of fans wanting this sort of acting. Like whenever people wanted Childish or Donald Glover to play Miles Morales. There's a thing going around about Keanu Reeves playing Darth Revan, and that would be like just I think it would be very good casting on their part. He does a good job of playing both like a good person and a bad like evil kind of character. His acting is very I like Keanu Reeves. I'm a Keanu fan.
Yeah, Keanu is pretty cool.
I mean,
Mm.
Donald Glover did play Miles Morales' uncle, so I mean that's a thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was but I was just talking about that particular.
I don't
like
know if
thing.
I can picture Keanu Reeves in Star Wars. I don't know. It's weird.
I mean, he was it. I mean, he was in the Matrix. That was sort of that was sci-fi.
But he was very Keanu Reevesy in the Matrix.
He was in the Matrix.
Sure.
I know kung fu. I mean,
But I'm saying that sort of genre, the like the sci-fi kind of thing. What?
I just love that. Just he was in the Matrix. Yeah. Okay.
I was just talking about he's done that genre before.
He was in Constantine. I mean, come on. Same thing.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, I forgot he was. Yeah, I forgot
Speed.
about that like completely.
He was in Speed, Taylor.
I was using the first thing that came to my mind. Okay.
Oh man.
Oh
That
my
was funny.
gosh. I am excited for Star Wars to come out.
Skywalker, Star Wars, or like new Star Wars.
Is as they want, and I would go see them all. They have the Star Wars franchise is just it's vast. It's very there's so many stories to tell within it. Just like the Marvel, they could make any movie, and I would probably go and see it and enjoy it.
Yeah. Anything else about this subject before we move on, guys?
No. No. I don't think so.
Let's see here. Okay. I know I haven't really had time to read comic books, but I kind of keep up with The Walking Dead here and there. It's being like heavily hinted that Rick Grimes is going to die in the next issue of The Walking Dead. Um, that's pretty crazy. Been the main focus of the book like the whole run. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I have I gave up on the show halfway through Negan, the second season of Negan, and I haven't watched since. Um,
Yeah, his shtick got kind of old really quick.
yeah, and I know they brought the Whisperers. I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
they're called. I know like they're a thing now.
Do you
Yeah, I've seen some clips of the more recent seasons, and from what I've heard, I mean, people enjoy it still, but it's just it's not for me anymore.
do you enjoy Negan more in the comics?
Absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
100%.
What do you think? What do you think what do you think the disconnect is between the comic and the show with Negan? Because
Number one, it's
Jeffrey Dean Morgan, great actor,
yeah,
portrayed him. You know,
it's his delivery of the dialogue, and between after his first appearance, he lost a lot of the brutality that Negan keeps up in the books.
mm,
Um,
so just
Negan,
not consistent.
exactly. Like they made him a lovable character, and Negan is not supposed to be lovable at all. You're supposed to hate Negan. Um,
Oh, you're supposed to not like the bad, brutal person. Oh no, who would ever do that?
also, like when once Negan becomes what he is now in the show, you still don't really trust him, but you're into the stuff that he's doing because he's doing it for the group.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
so.
Why do you like the whispers?
Um, I just from what I read in the books, it was a really cool storyline because number one, that's when Carl gets the girl that escapes the Whisperers and like kind of takes her in. It's kind of Carl's like first girlfriend kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then just like the brutality of Alpha and Beta just in the books. And then when Alpha and Negan fight in the books is one of my favorite episodes. And then when Beta and Negan fight in the books is probably my favorite issue of
Mm-hmm.
that storyline.
And I
Uh,
mean, it's so cool to have the. I've never seen people go with the idea of like basically skinning walkers and just kind of wearing them. Like I don't know, like
Yeah, yeah.
that's a crazy idea, and it's awesome. Like it looks really cool. Even in the show, like it seems like it translates pretty well. It's very
Mhm.
creepy.
it, it was the next sort of logical step though. Whenever you see Michonne with the two walkers, you know, chained, um, and you're like, oh
Oh
wow,
yeah.
that's kind of it definitely feels like the next logical step
Right.
to survival.
Yeah, they play with the idea.
Yeah. The show was
Um,
at
yeah,
Mm.
the show was at its peak during the prison seasons. That I don't think I think that's the best the show will ever get. Highest ratings, writing, like pacing, everything. The governor is probably my favorite villain in the Walking Dead series. Um, but yeah, I don't think they're ever gonna touch the prison series again. Like success wise, it's just that's as good as it gets as it's ever gonna get.
I agree. It was great. That was the governor was really cool. I don't read the comics, but in the show, he was it was awesome. I love the prison story arc.
Mm-hmm,
Yep.
mm-hmm.
What about you, Taylor? Any Walking Dead favorite storylines,
Um, I mean,
show or books?
probably the prison.
Yeah,
I mean, just like y'all, the prison one. It was very contained and made sense.
yeah. I mean, we
There
got to
was
see Rick
still
break.
there was still enough to work with in that confined space with all of the characters, and it was less. Um, I don't want to say it was less sandboxy than it is now, but it was sort of more of a contained story that
Yeah,
was done really well.
Well, it was cool too because
More focus was given.
you have everything that's going on, but on top of all that, uh, on top of everything that's going on, you have everyone getting sick in the prison. So you have this thing that is
Yeah.
connecting the whole story, while also dealing with the governor's town, and obviously all the walkers and whatnot. So yeah, it was a really cool season. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, that's when we got to see Rick, who had been like the concrete wall of the group, just finally crack and break after everything happens to Lori. And then he just goes into himself for like 2 or 3 episodes before he realizes, oh shit, there's another threat. I need to snap back into this shit. And that's when Herschel like makes himself important. And honestly, as brutal as it was, Herschel's death is probably my favorite in the series besides Glenn's because it means so much to the group. It has such a big impact to the group. And that's what pushes the group over the edge because their voice of reason is gone. Herschel's gone. Once Herschel is dead, their voice of reason is gone.
I think as far as
So-
TV deaths go, that one probably hurt me the most.
Yeah.
Oh, ooh, that actually that brings up a good point. So you would rate that kind of going off subject a little bit here. You would rate that as your number one TV death that was impactful.
Oh. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Without thinking about it too hard, yeah, I think that's probably number one.
Okay. What about you, Rich? Number one impactful death,
It's between Herschel and Glenn.
or just like in general,
Just overall, just
Overall,
in
yeah.
TV.
Oh, overall.
top of your head. Who would it
Yeah,
be?
it's between Herschel
still.
and Glenn. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, unless
I'm-
we're going like dramatic series, then I would say spoilers if people don't watch Shameless. Monica's death in the season before the last season, it kind of sent Frank over the top, which was really cool for me to see.
Okay. My number one impactful death would probably spoilers for the 100 if you haven't watched it or if you plan on watching it at some point, would have to be Commander Lexa. Just it took my heart and it ripped it out and cut it up in front of me.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else, man. You put me on the spot here.
No, I mean you answered. It was just off the top of your head.
Yeah,
what
off the top of my
the
head.
most impactful? Yeah. So another thing that we wanted to talk about was the sort of articles that were going around about Michael Rooker playing King Shark, which it has come out that he says he isn't King Shark.
Nope.
Correct. Yeah, on his Instagram, he screenshotted the article, and caption was something along the lines of like, "Duh, no." So, I mean, unless he's joking, probably not.
I mean,
Plot twist.
if we want to put it into context, he's come out in every single movie that James Gunn has directed. So he'll probably be in this Suicide Squad movie, just maybe not as King Shark.
Ooh, what if he's playing a joke, like the Joker?
Just leave him alone. Just leave the Joker alone. I wouldn't be mad if Michael Rooker played King Shark.
Gonna play?
Who?
It doesn't
I wanna know
matter.
who
We're
John
not.
Cena
It doesn't
John-
matter. We're not going to be able to see him anyways.
Wait, is John Cena in the new Suicide Squad?
Yeah, he's in the cast list.
Is that confirmed?
Yeah.
I believe John Cena and Idris Elba, both.
Yep. Both confirmed.
I don't know how to feel about that.
I'm excited for Idris Elba to do it. I love watching him.
Idris Elba, yes, 100%. John Cena, strange. It's like DC said, you know, we could use an ex WWE star too.
Uh, so it says Idris Elba is supposed to play Deathstroke.
That's wrong. Joe Manganiello's Deathstroke in the DC universe.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was reading the title, I was like, that is not right. Is this confirmed to be part of that universe?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, right? I mean,
Yeah,
isn't it-
sure, it has to be.
it's a sequel. I mean, I saw
The DCU is ironclad.
what's her name in the cast list, the one that played Harley Quinn. What the hell's her name? The Australian chick. Oh God, what's her name? Oh, Google. Hello.
Wow, I'm blanking on her name too.
Yeah, Margot Robbie. God damn it.
There it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I saw her in the cast list, and I mean, so who knows?
So it has to be true.
Yeah. Another article that was this time was confirmed because it was on IGN about 7 hours ago. The Aquaman director, what's his name? Wan something. Hold on.
James Wan.
Yeah, James Wan is producing the new Mortal Kombat movie set to start production this year in Australia.
I am so for it. Give me a good Mortal Kombat movie finally.
The standards are not that high.
Nope.
Hey man, the 1995 movie still holds up today. I don't care what anybody says, okay?
Hey man, with
Probably one of my favorite video game movies.
with today's technology, I mean, as expensive as it is to show John petting Ghost, I'm still certain we'll get a good Mortal Kombat movie, like all the effects and the CGI and everything like that.
Well, it's like I said the other day because I started playing the new Mortal Kombat. I was telling Taylor, I realized that I don't know Mortal Kombat lore at all. So there's just so much stuff that's happening that I'm just like,
Neither do I, man. Don't feel
I
bad.
don't know what's happening.
Which is why most likely the story won't be like a continuation of the other ones. It'll be starting at the base at the beginning.
I would hope so because the ending of Annihilation didn't really make sense.
Did any of that movie make sense ever? It's yeah.
Speaking of stuff coming out this year, Netflix is getting 2 animated movies: Rocco's Modern Life and Invader Zim.
Yes, they are.
The nostalgia hitting hard.
Oh man, I can't wait for the Rocco's Modern Life one, man. I'm really excited for that.
See, I'm excited for the Invader Zim one. So
Okay, so speaking of Invader Zim, the animator for that, did you ever read his graphic novel Johnny the Homicidal Maniac?
no, but that sounds awesome.
It's really good. You should read it. It's really good. Put it on your list, Justin.
All right,
It's
it's
really
on
good.
there.
Yeah, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac.
So
Oh,
yeah.
Trey says that Netflix is going to E3. I don't know if that's true, but Trey says it. So,
To do what exactly?
oh, what would Netflix be going to E3 for? See if Telltale was still a thing, I could see them doing a Stranger Things Telltale game.
Yes.
But Telltale's not a thing anymore, so that's not happening.
Or Netflix.
Netflix is making its E3 debut to talk about adapting its shows into video games.
Okay. So Netflix just doing their own thing.
Netflix is about to share some fresh details about its ambition to push deeper into video games ahead of the planned launch of its Stranger Things game coming in July to PC, PS4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and mobile platforms. This, according to Andy Meek of BGR.com.
I'm a genius. Even though that was probably already announced.
It was.
Yeah. So yeah. Thank you, Trey. Speaking of Stranger Things, did y'all see the D&D starter kit that came out? The Stranger Things one?
I have not seen that yet.
It's $40, which is $15 more than the actual D&D starter kit, Lost Minds. It comes with two minis of the Demigorgons. One's painted, one's not, and it comes the quest or the campaign is written by the main character of Stranger Things.
I would be definitely down to play that. It sounds interesting. It's definitely odd. Yes, it's not what I would have thought of for D&D, but I guess D&D, it can be, you know, whatever you want it to be.
It could be anything.
Hey. But yeah, I saw when I was at Dragon's Lair the other day. I saw they had like 3 copies left. And I was gonna get it, but then I looked at the price and it was $40, and I said, "Oh no."
When has the price tag ever stopped you on a D&D purchase, Rich?
$20 is my limit, Justin. I'm sorry.
So we'll see. Maybe they have payment plans.
Oh gosh, don't start. Okay. Anything else you wanted to talk about, guys? Anything else you wanted to cover?
Think so. None of us have seen Detective Pikachu. I'll probably see that before the next episode, so we can talk about that next week.
I'm gonna take my kids to see it this weekend. So
Agreed.
have-
Reviews I've heard.
Me too. I'm gonna go with kids.
Oh, that's not what I was saying. Same too. Yeah.
Yeah, kids. That's why I'm going.
Ooh, yep. Everyone that has seen it, the reviews definitely are that it's really good. It's a light. They say it's a light, fun-hearted movie. And if you like Pokemon, you will like the movie. You'll have a good time.
That's what
that's
what I'm expecting.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
I don't want to cry at the movies anymore, so I hope it's not a tearjerker.
Nothing will be
mean?
as tear-jerking as Ash turning to stone. Spoilers for Pokemon the movie.
Oh my!
Ash
just
turning
throw
to,
that out there.
Ash turning to stone. Definitely one of the first times I cried watching a movie as a kid. That and then Pikachu slapping the clone Pikachu slapping real Pikachu.
Mm-hmm.
Oh
my God! Yes.
nothing.
As a
Hold
kid-
on, you didn't cry. You didn't cry the first time you watched The Land Before Time.
Actually, let me go ahead and change. Herschel, not number one. It's gonna be Ash turning to stone.
Oh. Does that count? He didn't actually die.
He was dead.
Also,
man.
spoilers.
He was dead.
All right. We'll count it.
It was the power of Pikachu's tears that brought him back to life, which never gets explained.
Mm-mm. It's just magic.
Pikachu was actually being warged into by Bran. It's all connected. Backstory.
Well, I mean, if we're looking at Pokemon like the anime show, Pikachu also takes down Onyx because he runs on a treadmill for a really long time, and that makes him strong.
The static electricity stacks up.
It is because of that goddamn cartoon that I kept trying to use Pikachu to beat Onyx on the game, and it never worked. Didn't matter how many times we ran.
It's not gonna work, man.
you gotta take him to the gym, man. Your Pikachu was skipping leg day.
Yeah, I guess so.
So be honest, how many times did y'all pick Squirtle or Bulbasaur as a starter just to get past Brock?
I chose I never chose Bulbasaur. I was never a grass type person. I was always fire or water. Mostly for Gen 1, fire. It was gonna be hard those first two for sure. Gyms. Other than that, I'd fire all the way.
I always went Squirtle. I like Blastoise. Blastoise is badass.
That makes sense for mine and yours personalities.
I think I chose Squirtle because I got Pokemon Blue when I was like 8 or 9, and I chose Squirtle.
No,
And
never
then
mind.
when
I want to change mine.
And then I got Charmander when I got Pokemon Red, and I looked for an Oddish like before I fought Brock.
Here's the real question: were you a what I would consider a Pokemon purist? Did you name your Pokemon, or did you let them just stay their birth names?
If
I
I
kept I let them keep their names. I never
if
nicknamed
I
them.
if I could come up with a funny enough name to me, I would change their names.
Ooh, so you went funny names.
Well, I mean, okay, my starter had like a really cool name because like that's the one I was gonna use the most. Like, ooh yeah, this awesome Charmander, he's gonna be named like Blaze. Which
Same.
I
Yes.
yes.
My
Oh.
go to Charizard or my Charmander name was always Ember.
Mm, mm.
I was like, yeah, it has to do with
Oh,
fire, but it's not like just
well.
fire.
See, my mindset was that Ash never nicknamed his Pokemon, so I wasn't going to because it's
See,
not good enough for Ash.
Ash was
Good
a
enough for me.
bad trainer. He was so bad.
That's also why I didn't name most of my Pokemon.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, so as we got older, what kind of did you go by type or did you like a variety in your party?
I always liked having a bit of everything. I was never. I'm not good at min maxing. Like that's just not how my brain works. So I never really got into the like figuring out weaknesses and kind of capitalizing on that. I just liked having just a mix.
I went
Nice.
for cool for the cool aspect. Arcanine, Houndoom, Gengar, Alakazam, Greninja, and I want to say I can't think of Charizard.
Oh yeah.
Sort of that kind of aesthetic, the really cool, just like all the dragon Pokemon, almost all of the dragon Pokemon, of course.
So when I was a kid, my dad would take me to the pawn shops when it was his weekend, and I picked up a copy of I think it was Platinum. Yeah, it was Pokemon Platinum, and there was a shiny Charizard in the save file when I
Oh,
opened it.
the Holy Grail. I bet that kid
So
was pissed that he lost his game.
so I transferred it to my Pokemon. I think it was Ruby. Yeah, it was Ruby, and I transferred it to my no, I don't Diamond. It was I transferred it to my Diamond, and then I reset on the Platinum, and I started over. But yeah, there was a shiny Charizard. It was that's
I
probably
have a
like my
Uh,
happiest Pokemon moment like ever, finding a shiny Charizard from from a pawn shop copy.
I have an interesting story connecting Pokemon and pawn shops. Funny enough, and also tying into just my stupidity as a child and adult. Um, so whenever Gold and Silver came out, I really really wanted it, but I didn't have money. I was a kid. I wanted my dad to get it for me because that's because I was spoiled, I guess. But like he wouldn't he we couldn't find it for whatever reason. I guess this was maybe during a time where games actually like sold out if you didn't pre-order anything.
Uh-huh.
And I was convinced that if we went to there was a pawn store in our town that was called like Gold and Silver Pawn. I was convinced that gold and silver version of Pokemon would be at that pawn store.
you are not being serious right now, right?
I am 100% serious. That is something
Oh
that is something that I will
no!
forever remember.
Oh no!
That's the best story I've ever
Oh,
heard in my life. That's amazing.
I don't have a story like that, but I do have a story about a shiny Charizard. Uh, so me and my brother and my two cousins, when we were younger, our grandma took us to the store. She got us all Pokemon cards. We each got a pack. And my brother opened his some cool cards. Cousin opened hers, some cool cards. My other cousin opened his, some cool cards. I opened mine last because being the youngest one, I picked I had to pick the last pack, of course. I opened it up. First card I pull out of the pack is a dark holographic Charizard, my favorite
Nice.
Pokemon at the time, and it's just like the holy grail of Pokemon cards. And as a little kid, I'm a Pokemon master. I'm the best in the world. I have this card. It was stolen from me. Not even a day later. I had the Holy Grail for less than 24 hours.
Did you ever figure out who stole it?
I have my suspicions, but they can never be confirmed nor denied now. And I hope whoever did it is happy that they ruined a little. I want to say I was maybe 8 or 9. They ruined a little 8 or 9 little kid's heart, his life, his childhood. Not really, but not life. Just it was kind of upsetting a little bit.
I had a giant stuffed Pikachu doll, and I'll tell the story before we finish. I had a giant stuffed Pikachu doll, and there was a little tear at the base of his tail, so a little fuzz was always coming out.
Yeah.
My older brother and older sister convinced me that if I tore up my Pokemon cards and put them in that hole, that they would come alive. That these Pokemon would exist.
No.
And so of course I want real Pokemon, and I want my favorite Pokemon to be real. So I'm tearing up like my favorite Pokemon cards and putting them in this stuffed Pikachu. And I don't think I've ever talked about that.
It's too traumatizing.
Yeah, I think I just unlocked that part of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
You got it. I have one more before we lose. My most devastating loss in a battle was to my cousin. His level 100 Pikachu beat my level 100 Mewtwo by 2 HP. It was both of our last Pokemon, and I had to give him my level 100 Blastoise as a result.
Was there a written contract?
We were 9, so no. But my mom made me follow up on my word because I promised.
No, they got the mom involved.
He tattled on me. He tattled on me.
All right.
So,
I'm sorry.
I tried to hide the link cable too. I was like, I can't find my link cable, Mom, so we can't do it.
Throw it out. Throw it out. You don't need this anymore.
Just bite it. Just bite it in half.
Yep. But he at least he didn't take my Mewtwo. I held on to my level 100 Mewtwo all the way to the DS generations, actually.
Oh, nice.
Bravo.
Yeah. Any other stories before we wrap it up, guys?
No.
Negative.
That was a nice little trip down memory lane for Pokemon right there at the end.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Takes away from the negativity that we started this episode with.
Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me. Fuck Game of Thrones.
All right. Back to reality and the Game of Thrones world we live in.
Thank you, everybody, for listening live or on the podcast feed, however you choose to listen. If you enjoyed the show, please be sure to let the guys at Twin Stick Radio know, since we are on their podcast feed. You can catch us every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. here on twitch.tv/Twin Stick Radio. If you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow Taylor at TSingsToRice. You can follow me at Rich Needs Rez, and you can follow Justin at Justin T. Lopez. This has been episode 4 of Eat, Geek, Sleep, Repeat, or 5? 4 or 5?
4. Yeah,
4.
you're right. You're 4. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a good night.
Yep.
Bye.
Let's sleep.